The Arizona sun was cooking the pavement at 107 degrees when Karen Mitchell decided to make my backyard her personal battlefield. What she didn't realize was that the same bylaws she worshipped like gospel were about to hand her the shovel for her own grave. I'm Jake Harlan, just a regular guy who inherited the same single-story ranch house my dad built in Sunridge Meadows back in '82. That pool out back isn't some Instagram status symbol. It's where Dad taught me to swim the summer I turned 8, where my kids learned the same strokes, where we floated through every birthday, every bad report card, every quiet evening when the desert wind rattles the palm fronds. 42 years of memories baked into those concrete walls. So when I was stretched out on the lounge chair that Saturday, cold beer sweating in my hand, the last thing I expected was the click-clack of heels on my patio tiles. Karen marched straight across the grass like she owned the deed. "Mr. Harlan," she said, voice clipped and sweet as antifreeze, Section 7.3 of the Sunridge Covenants is very clear. Water features may not exceed 25% of the rear yard footprint. Yours is 31. You have 30 days to remove it, or the daily fine starts at $500. I sat up slow, wiping sweat from my eyes. "Karen, that pool was here before your precious covenants were even typed. My dad poured it with his own hands. You're telling me the HOA just rewrote history because someone decided blue tile clashes with the desert aesthetic?" She smiled the way a rattlesnake smiles. "Rules evolve, Jake. We're protecting property values. Think of the children." Then she turned on her heel and left, leaving a single pink violation notice fluttering on my patio table like a funeral invitation. That was only the beginning. By the next week the mailbox was vomiting HOA letters, 3, 4, sometimes 5 a day. Each one thicker, each fine higher. My wife, Sarah, started sleeping with earplugs because I'd be up at 2 a.m. pacing, rereading the same legalese until the words blurred. At the community barbecue, neighbors who used to wave now suddenly needed to check their phones when I walked by. Little Timmy from 2 doors down asked why Mr. Jake's pool is bad, loud enough for the whole cul-de-sac to hear. Karen had done her rounds. But here's where the story stops being predictable. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I did what any guy who grew up watching his dad outsmart the IRS would do. I bought a decent security system, 4 cameras, all pointed at my own property, completely legal under the very bylaws Karen loved to quote. Then I started knocking on doors after dark. Quiet conversations over backyard fences turned into a full-blown resistance. Mrs. Ruiz showed me the $1,200 fine for her non-compliant ceramic pots. Single dad Mike had been dinged for a trampoline that had sat there 3 years. Turns out Karen's selective enforcement had been running for half a decade. We started scanning every letter, every email, every timestamp. My lawyer, a no-nonsense woman named Elena who grew up in Mesa, read the stack and laughed out loud. They rewrote the bylaws last year without a proper quorum vote. And get this, the new pool rule was never recorded with the county. Legally, it doesn't exist. We documented everything. Every trespassing inspection, Karen made without the required 48-hour notice. Every snide comment captured on my new cameras. By the time the HOA called an emergency board meeting, we had a petition with 43 signatures and a binder thick enough to stop a bullet. The community center smelled like burnt coffee and desperation the night of the meeting. Karen sat at the head table in a power blazer, gavel in hand like she was running the Supreme Court. I stood up before she could open her mouth. "Before we talk about my pool," I said calmly, sliding the binder forward, "let's talk about Section 3.1. No board member may enter private property without written notice. Karen, you've been in my backyard 6 times in the last month. My cameras caught every second." The room went dead quiet. Karen's smile twitched. "Those were official inspections." "Official?" Elena cut in from the back row. "Then why does the footage show you muttering, 'This eyesore is coming down one way or another,' at 11:47 p.m. while you're measuring the deck with a tape from Home Depot?" Gasps rippled. Someone's phone started recording. Karen's face went the color of cheap rose. She tried the usual script. "We're just trying to maintain standards." But the words sounded hollow even to her. The board table shifted uncomfortably. For the first time, people weren't scared of her. They were embarrassed for her. She called for a vote to fine me on the spot. The motion died 7-2. That should have ended it. It didn't. 2 weeks later, we were in Maricopa County Superior Court. Karen sat across the aisle looking like she'd swallowed a lemon. Her attorney presented glossy 8x10s of dangerous cracks in my pool coping claimed structural failure, demanded immediate demolition. The judge leaned forward, interested. Elena didn't even raise her voice. "Your Honor, may I play Exhibit C?" The courtroom lights dimmed. On the big screen, nighttime footage of Karen herself crawling along my pool edge with a flashlight, scratching at the grout with a pocket knife, then taking the exact photos her lawyer had just waved around. The timestamp matched the metadata on the evidence. The audio picked up her muttering, "Once this thing is gone, that arrogant bastard will learn who runs this neighborhood." The judge actually raised an eyebrow. "Ms. Mitchell, did you enter Mr. Harlan's property at night without notice?" Karen opened her mouth. Nothing came out except a dry click. Elena kept going, soft but lethal. "And Your Honor, Section 12.4 of the very covenants Ms. Mitchell authored requires board members to act in good faith. Fabricating evidence and trespassing might fall slightly outside that definition." The gavel came down harder than any of us expected. Case dismissed. Pool stays. HOA to reimburse Mr. Harlan's legal fees and remove all fines. Furthermore, the court recommends an independent audit of Sunridge Meadows' HOA practices. He looked straight at Karen. "Ms. Mitchell, I suggest you read your own bylaws sometime." The hallway outside the courtroom felt like a victory parade. Neighbors who'd been too terrified to speak were high-fiving me. Mrs. Ruiz hugged Sarah so hard I heard ribs creak. Karen slunk out a side door, head down, phone already buzzing with texts she'd never answer. By the next monthly meeting, the recall petition had 112 signatures. Karen was voted off the board 94%. The new president, Mike, the single dad with the trampoline, announced the first order of business. Every rule change now requires a full neighborhood vote and county recording. No more midnight inspections. No more one-woman reign. I still sit by that pool most evenings. The water's the same temperature it's always been, just right. Kids still cannonball. Sarah still brings me a cold beer and rolls her eyes at the whole saga. But the neighborhood feels different now. People talk over fences again. Lawns are a little less perfect, a little more lived in. And every once in a while someone will nod at me and say, "Thanks for not backing down." Karen still lives 3 streets over. Her yard looks exactly the same, pristine, sterile, zero personality. Last I heard she's selling. Turns out buyers aren't big on former HOA dictators. So here's the question that keeps the comments section lit. True or false, the loudest people screaming about rules and community standards are usually the ones abusing power the most? Or was I just the entitled homeowner who refused to play nice? Drop your verdict below. Because in the end, the only thing that really got demolished was Karen's empire.